was the year 2011. An old acquaintance of mine, which we'll call Chriso, messaged me to talk about a peculiar discovery. Just like in your standard creepypasta, he stumbled upon a mysterious disk while cleaning the attic. He tries to run it on his computer and finds out that this disk contains a video game, one that we'd never heard of before. Mind you, this is 2011, so we all run potatoes instead of computers, and technologies such as screen recordings are something out of our league. We were also pretty dense, and Chriso was not your typical computer guy. So, instead of taking a screenshot, he sends me one photo and a recording made with a camera. In this game, you're stuck in a labyrinth, presumably in search of an exit. An eerie and redundant 8-bit music fills the emptiness of the checkered walls. Big red letters are scattered around the place. They probably serve some kind of purpose, but at this time we don't know for sure. And so we find ourselves at an impasse. Chriso doesn't know how to dump the game from the CD, and because of that I cannot help him with the exploration. But there is one thing I can do, and that is sharing this story on a Facebook page I owned back then. Funnily enough, its purpose was to collect and translate creepypastas for Italian users. So it's settled. Chriso shares a handwritten map and its findings with me, and I share the story with the page followers in search for someone that does know what this game is. We soon find out that it was indeed the right thing to do. Some people do recognize the game, some says that they owned a copy back in the early 2000s. But there's no trace of it elsewhere on the internet. No trace of the game, and no trace of Barely Games, the company that supposedly made it. Week after week, this weird adventure goes on. Chriso finally finds something aside from the wall's red letters. There's a door in the labyrinth, and this door needs a password to be opened. The page followers start suggesting passwords, making anagrams out of all the red letters found during Chriso's search. And so he tries out all the suggestions, and we finally find a way to open the door. The password was breathe. This new discovery brings Chriso to a new area. But Chriso's camera is low on batteries. And again, 2011, talking about this kind of batteries and about a time in which smartphones weren't a thing for everyone. I explained to him how to take screenshots, but whenever he tries to do so, the screenshot is pitch black. So he can't do anything but tell me about this new level. This time we're outdoors, grass on the ground and brick walls all around us. There is a path that leads to a big gate, and behind it he can see the shadow of a big house. Near this path there's a garden, or well, a cemetery of sorts. There is something written on every tombstone, but one specific writing finds Chriso interested. He have no face. He tried to interact with it, and the game asked again for a password. I don't know what he wrote, but it didn't work. There is also another detail that piqued Chriso's interest, and that is a big black rectangle right below one of the tombstones. By the power of imagination, Chriso said, we can assume that it's a hole. And if I try to walk on it, the game asks me, jump in? He tried with yes, but the game crashed. And so he restarted it, only to find himself at the start of the very first level, that is, the checkered labyrinth. At this point, Chriso already had enough of the labyrinth. He often talked about how the eerie music kept him distressed, and so he stopped playing for some time. Meanwhile, the Facebook followers kept talking about the game. They immediately pointed out that he had no face was grammatically wrong. Was it all a joke made by Chriso? Or was it wrong on purpose? That aside, they kept guessing what the password was. One user suggested to input the word clown, and when Chriso found the strength to replay through the labyrinth, he tried that input on the tombstone. It worked. The music froze, and after some seconds the game played an 8-bit sound. The music then resumed, and Chriso felt the urge to try jumping again in the hole. And that worked too. Right after this, Chriso found himself inside of a long corridor. I had to hold down the up arrow for like 5 minutes. It would never end. The walls were all black and the floor completely white. The garden music kept playing, but as I walked further, it started distorting. Then it became an obnoxious buzzing sound, and as I reached the end of the corridor, I found a dead end with a note on the wall. There's no turning back. The game froze, and I was sure I had to restart my computer. But I tried waiting, and that was for the best. The game unfroze, and when I turned around, there wasn't a corridor anymore. There was another wall instead, and a new note with a red writing on it. Wait. And there he was, with a buzzing sound that pierced his ears, walls all around him, and nothing to do to kill the wait. After a lot of waiting, text appeared at the bottom of the screen. No more. The screen faded to black, and after some more seconds, Chriso was greeted with new text. He felt the urge to joke a bit, and so he clicked on board, and the game closed once again. Chriso decided to take a long break from the game because it was driving him mad. But in this wait, something happened. A YouTube user that went by the name Levelthetwelve uploaded this video. I was sure this was the same game. So, there was someone else in possession of it, and not only they were able to grant us a proper video recording, but they were also playing a level we didn't know about. But Levelthetwelve was not there to help, no. They just wanted to watch us drown in confusion. The user description suggested that they were Italian just like us, and so I tried getting in contact with them. To no avail, of course. After some days of silence, Levelthetwelve uploaded 2 new videos. We could finally see with our own eyes the garden and the corridor. Chriso confirmed to me that this was the real deal. It really was the same game. So I asked myself, is this all a prank on Chriso's part? Is Levelthetwelve a friend of theirs? Is it Chriso himself? Again, time passes by with no updates. Chriso didn't want to play the game anymore, and Levelthetwelve got impatient. As the attention seeker that they were, they uploaded a new video. And this time, there's a description in it. A hyperlink to download the game. We could finally put our hands on the game that made us talk so much. We start exploring the labyrinth, we find all the red letters, but we soon find out that there's no door. There's no way to exit the labyrinth level. Levelthetwelve mocked us all. But how? After all of this, a lot of time passes by. That's when another number fella joins the match. 2607 makes its appearance, telling everyone that they too own the game. They upload a video in which, just for a second, we can see an options menu. Here, we can find settings such as hypersomnia, insomnia, narcolepsy, and below all that, we find this. Yeah, so now this game is tied to the famous Polybius. No, that can't be. It's all a joke, right? Levelthetwelve, being the diva that they were, immediately responded to this with a new video. This one got lost to time, but if memory serves me right, It showed the painting Saturn devouring one of his children by Francisco Goya. The last thing I would have expected from this story was drama. But it doesn't end there. 2607 uploads another video, and this time it's an ARG. My memories of it are pretty fuzzy, but I remember I had fun solving it. It was well made. Still, I was really skeptical. Solving the ARG gave us the password to a .rar archive containing the nefarious game. And yeah, the game was real, but also not. Thing is, 2607 was a fake account made by one of the Facebook page followers. They wanted to prank the page with a high-fidelity reproduction of the mysterious game found by Grisso. And I have to say, they did a really good job at that. But the levels beyond the ones we already knew shifted a lot in tone, giving it away. It was fun nonetheless. Meanwhile, reading the mood, Levelthetwelve uploaded a new video showing the area right after the one in which Grisso stopped playing. At that point, we were all kinda suspicious about everything. Was it real? Was it another prank? But beyond that, where is Grisso in all of this? And then, I received an email. Dear Sir, we regret to inform you of a copyright violation on your part concerning our game. A video on your channel contains gameplay footage of this game, which is not subject to abandonware regulations and has not been officially released. This constitutes an offense under the current international regulations. We therefore request that you remove the aforementioned video. Failure to comply with this notice will result in legal action against you, which we hope to avoid. References to the gaming notes on your Facebook account do not constitute a violation, although the information contained therein is incorrect and/or misleading. References to this message may be made publicly. We trust in your understanding and advise you to forget the game you frequently mention. Hoping that similar incidents will not occur again. Betterly Games, Inc. Right after that, Levelthetwelve deletes all the game footage on their channel and uploads one last video. In this video, LTT talks about how they cannot keep playing with us, about how they are really involved with the development of this game, hence why they could upload a fragmented version of it, about how they have never personally interacted with the page followers, despite some users suggesting otherwise. They talk about a bigger mystery behind the game and barely games itself, and about how there really are some copies of the game somewhere out there. They leave us with the mysterious name Jake Pontiac, suggesting that there's more to uncover, and then they never return. The mystery remains unsolved. But hey, albeit being a bonus one, this is still a Ken Project Galore video. What's with all this creepypasta stuff? Well folks, today we're going deep into the root of this story. We'll wander around the broken, messy levels of Have I avoided naming the game just to use it in the title card after a 14 minutes long intro? Yes. I genuinely thought that not many people knew the truth behind the mine joke. Hell, I didn't even knew that its fame got outside of Italy. Needless to say, it didn't take much for fans of my games to uncover its obvious secret. I'm the game's author. Or well, me and Chris are. Reliving all the excursions to make that intro has been a fun ride, but as it always happens with this kind of stuff, it was also an embarrassing one. I mean, I could say that clues to learn the truth were wisely scattered all around, but that will be a lie. We simply didn't do a good job hiding it. 14 years ago, we all were much more gullible when it came to these kinds of things. We craved for mysteries, so we believed in every silly story we stumbled upon. That is why our silly project worked that well, in spite of how badly it was prepared. But hey, let's take a look at the game itself. And while we'll do so, I'll take the chance to retrace the story from behind the curtain. Here it is, in all its impact glory. It was a pain to avoid showing this menu in the intro. I also had to change some events of that story here and there. For example, Levelthetwelve was able to load the game in their videos, while Criso couldn't even find a way to save. And here it is, just as I left it years ago. Let's go for a stroll. As you may already know, I prefer to stay silent while playing if I can. But this is exactly what you see. A labyrinth with no landmarks, no dangers, nothing except for the red letters and a door. So let's talk. Me and Criso were good friends that shared a common love for horror media. He was a talented writer, and I was losing my head, once again, to something I left behind years earlier. I'm talking about game development, of course. The idea of making my own horror game knocked day after day at the back of my head. So I asked Criso if he wanted to make our very own creepypasta, one in which we would reenact the finding of a strange video game. I already had messed with old GameMaker FPS tutorials in the past, and I was, and am, in love with the old 3D Maze screensaver. I thought that would have been the best way to present the game. We came up with this weird maze in which one could lose their sanity. The Facebook page was the perfect place to spread our scary story. And so, after deciding on some key aspects together, we had to improvise a MSN conversation in which Criso would start talking about this mysterious finding. That role suited him the most. He was not a computer guy, he didn't use social medias that much, and thus he could keep a low profile and play the part of the one that is not always available online. It was perfect. I made a small playable portion of the labyrinth and sent it to him, so that he could take photos to send me back and also consciously talk about it in our reenactment. Oh yeah, that's another thing I changed in the intro story. The story didn't open up with Criso sending me a recording of the game, no. In the story's first entry, Criso sent me only 2 photos, one from the start screen and one from the labyrinth. It was with the next entry that he sent me a hand-drawn map of his invention, giving me a blueprint to complete the labyrinth. And so I started making it. We were all loving the experience, us creating it, the community living the lie. Such a great time to make this kind of things. It didn't take long to make the full labyrinth, and soon enough I sent Criso a new build that had everything. The full map, the red letters, and the door that would presumably get us out. The door did not work, of course. It was just a wall. But we had enough material to prepare a new entry, the one in which Criso would have sent me the nefarious video footage. I'm kinda having a hard time reordering the events. I was sure that Criso's video got uploaded right before talking about the garden area, but that doesn't seem to be the case. But it has to, hence why should Criso be ignoring the door when he stumbles upon it in his video? I mean, it's not important. For the sake of this video, I'll just assume that things were chronologically ordered in a way that's useful for us. Okay, where was I? Ah, right, the footage. After receiving it, I uploaded it on the page's YouTube channel for everyone to see. That's when the story really got to people. They all started speculating about the nature of the game. We waited for the followers to solve our anagram, and as soon as someone wrote breathe, we moved on to the next part. And you know what? We too should do that. Moving on, I mean, you must be pretty tired of this labyrinth. And if you were expecting me to get to the exit door, then sorry to disappoint you, but this map doesn't have an exit. Blame Levelthetwelve. You know what? Before moving on, let's listen to this banger. This is the first version of the labyrinth music, and as you can hear, it was initially meant to feature percussions. Could you believe that? Okay, that's enough. Let's take a look at the full map. The red walls are the lettered ones. The door should have been yellow or something like that, but it's not here. Here you go. Let's put it near the entrance, so we can immediately go get a look at it. Here you go. This one's also different than the one shown in Chriso's playthrough. One more error that, by today's standards, will ruin the act in its entirety. I'm wondering if I should put back the door or leave the labyrinth without an exit. But the ride never ends, and the next stop is... the garden. Which is weirdly wide in contrast to the labyrinth's aspect ratio. This map was made right after the story entries in which Chriso talked about the area. It was mostly him that came up with it. He really loved his clowns, as much as I loved my inaccessible points of interest. Speaking of that, let's go take a look. Look guys, it's attraction! Another difference between the story and the game itself is that this area doesn't have music. And well, the tombstones are missing their phrases. Also, there's no hole to jump in. Still, I really like this area. It's bare bones, but the pinkish sky plus the green floor and the white fog do make something special. The mysterious house behind the gate does a great job too. In any case, it's plausible that this thing was made in a haste just to be shown in one of Levelthetwelve's videos. Let's see if we can do something for the aspect ratio. Here we are! But I have to say, this feels wrong to look at. For some reason, changing the room size will result in an aspect ratio change. Maybe I'm just too tired, and I'm missing the obvious explanation, but I don't know why it's like that. Let's move on. Next is... the corridor. With a flip sign, cause I didn't know how to rotate objects. This one was meant to have the hypothetical garden music gradually distorting to this buzzing sound. I know that the title of this video suggests otherwise, but this game was not meant to be playable. This area was made only to be featured in one of Levelthetwelve's videos. Traversing the corridor takes 5 seconds instead of the 5 minutes Chriso talked about. There is no waiting system, this room is just what you're seeing right now. The idea for Levelthetwelve was to make something like Marble Hornets to the Ark. I wanted to make a character that had control over the story's context. Not bound by the common reasoning of a normal player like Chriso, they could have shown what they wanted about the game without anyone suspecting anything. Also, their name in their first video suggested the idea of a 12th level. It served the purpose of giving spectators some sort of reachable landing, something that they could long for. At this point in time, I can't even remember what the plan was. My last chat with Christo fell down the memory hole too. I wonder how he's doing. I think he's not on Facebook anymore, and since I don't know his real name, I can't even get in touch with him again. I hope he's doing alright. Anyway, time to jump into the next level. This was the last one shared by Levelthetwelve before their departure. Oh boy, it's another wide one. This is what 2607 titled House, but it was meant to be a hotel. Speaking of that, the game uploaded by them was not a high-fidelity reproduction like I said in the intro. Remember when Levelthetwelve uploaded the playable labyrinth? That's what 07 decompiled. Inside of that build there was pretty much everything you'll see in this video. Everything's kinda unfinished, just like with the corridor and the garden. Only the map portions that needed to be displayed on LTT's YouTube account were prepared. Gotta love that music! This is the same trick used in the Loud video. The fact that at this point I already recycled ideas speaks volumes. Still, I like the fact that you can see the smiling face from behind a window. As for the texture change, yes, I'm talking about that. It will be fun to see where it originated from. Just you wait. Oh, this is precious. I think we've seen everything this room has to offer. Stop that. Why did it trigger again? What changed? Oh. I didn't expect that. Who knows what the plans for this transition were? Maybe it's just a room go to next, and the room order is in shambles right now. Let's take a look at the room itself. This room is much smaller than I thought. That one's the smiling face. And this one's the first portion we explored. All these green squares are triggers that changes the room we're in. This means that if we ventured outside of the broken geometry, we would have been teleported earlier. I was right, the room changer simply goes to the next one in the list. Let's put level 4/2 right after this one. Looks like the trigger doesn't work as intended if we ignore the smiling face area. I won't even try comprehending this mess, since it was nonsensical in the first place. This one still works after triggering the other. I can, re-trigger it? Oh dear, my ears. But now we're in level 4/2. Which is even more unfinished. Yeah, I think we're done. What's your favorite area? Mine's level 4/2. I mean, it's so complex. After the appearance of 26, I kinda lost interest in making this story. Maybe it's because I had more fun making it with Christo, but probably I just lost control of what it was and became overwhelming. One thing's for sure though. I loved this level. I loved how LTT made its appearance. There was something evil about all of this, such a good counterpart to the quiet strangeness of the M-Mine joke we saw up to this point. Don't you think? It reminds me a bit of the I'm Scared Pipes area, but I love the fact that the floor is made by wooden planks instead of bricks or concrete. I also like this window. Okay, prepare your ears. I also like that all this loudness ends up in dead silence. If we take a look at the room itself, we can see that it was originally a clone of the garden one. This means that the garden room was made before the loud one. That's interesting. I thought that loud was the first room I made right after Labyrinth. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but to enter loud I used a different title screen room. That is, the one with the functioning load option, the one that Levelthetwelve used in their video. This means that there's only 2 rooms left. First one we're going to check is the one Christo talks about right after jumping in the hole. I should have shown it right before the garden level, but I forgot. So, I really like how every voice flickers differently than the others. I think that only one of the options works, all the others just close the game. Let's see. Okay, so Fine is the one that sent us to the next room on the list. And as I thought, all the others just kills the application. This means that we're left with one last room. This one's not even named, just like the discarded rooms seen in other old projects of mine. If you think about it, following the story of a mine joke, and I mean the one narrated in the intro, there is nothing left. This is something else, something that came earlier. But if we try to enter that room, the game crashes. Still, let's take a look at how it looks like in the room editor. Does it look familiar? 'Cause it should. It will make no sense trying to figure out how to make it work, and that's because some of the original textures are missing. That's why it crashes. But we do have a way to see it. It's time to open a project simply called Horror. This project predates a mine joke by 1 or 2 years. As you can see, there's the very same room we found in a mine joke. It's nothing special, really, just the result of a 15 years old Ivan messing with the old GameMaker FPS tutorial. But you know, it feels special nonetheless. For those that do not know what this is the very first iteration of I'm Scared's house area. And even if the Doom Hand and the health bar kills the mood a bit, this is still a very fond memory. Maybe I give myself too much credit for this, or maybe I say it just because of nostalgia, but I think that this indoor map became memorable in its own way. I mean, I could recognize this place in every possible form. Ah, right. Remember when I told you about the walls changing in AMJ's hotel level? Yeah. It's not like I loved Silent Hill. Well, that Floros-like symbol kinda gave it away, I presume. So it's not just a map. This entire room kinda served as a blueprint for I'm Scared's house section, even in the idea. I find it fascinating. The 2 rooms left in the project are kinda useless though. I think they're just edits of the original rooms available in the FPS tutorial. Totally a Doom map, not something I'd make. And while it could be fun exploring these just for the sake of it, I suppose there's no point in doing so, might as well get back on a mine joke. 'Cause yeah, we do have seen all the rooms available, but we can still take a look at sprites and such. For example, it looks like Ivan did consider for the game to be decompiled. There is a series of sprite messages directed to the beeper. Looks like these were written by Levelthetwelve themselves. So, congratulations on reaching this point, Explorer. The file you're peeping through is the alpha version of a mind joke. Now come on, Ivan, you don't even know what an alpha is. This file's the reason for which poor Jake stepped in prohibited waters. I don't need to add anything to this. I just wanted to reward your ingenuity. The reward is the file with which everything started. For Jake. For me. That's crazy. I thought that young Ivan didn't want for the game to be decompiled. Maybe he just felt robbed when the game was decompiled only to make a fake version of it? That's possible. Not gonna lie, I don't remember a thing. As for the rest of this project, interesting stuff ends here. Aside from this goober, I mean, just look at him. Wee-woo, wee-woo. Still, there is one less thing that scratches my brain the wrong way. And that is Levelthetwelve's last video. I mean the one still available on YouTube. Because, you see, something's missing. This area and its music are nowhere to be found. I think we're totally done. Revisiting a mind joke felt like going back to the start of a long journey. To simpler times, where it was far more easy to scare and to be scared. Just like with my madness, this whole project worked as a blueprint for what then came to be. Barely Games is a name I used again in following projects, the only official way to tie my name to a mind joke, which up to last month I always denied making. It's not a game, never meant to be played, and yada yada, I know. But, well, it feels like my very first try at making a horror game. Wouldn't it be fun if, like, I tried remaking it? See you in the Patreon chat. Thanks for watching.